fully aware that I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I am so effing tired of the amount of emotional labor that comes with dating Black men. I am so tired of the lack of commitment, the lack of support, the lack of encouragement, the lack of money. Like, I don't know what to do from this point on, but I can tell you one thing. My interest in dating another Black man is like 1% at this point. They want us to be ride or dies until they get their shit together, and then they don't want to support us in return. They don't want to commit to us. They don't want to marry us, but then they want all the benefits of being a husband without actually proposing to us. I need someone who's intentional in every single aspect.
Black women have some of the highest dating standards in the world for Black men. A good job, good morals, good character, but it's still never enough. Here's what no one wants to say out loud. The same women who turned down a solid Black man is now defending a man of another race with none of those standards. She calls it love. And if you dare point that out, you hate Black women. But no one's putting that same magnifying glass on them. This isn't about who you love. It's about why the bar completely disappears the second the skin color changes and what that really tells us. If you are a Black woman, this video is for you. Not to tear you down, but because this conversation is long overdue. Too many Black men are being passed over, and too many Black women are accepting less from men of other races than they would ever tolerate from their own. By the end of this video, you will have a clear picture of the double standard that is quietly destroying Black relationships, the root of where it comes from, how it shows up, and what it is costing our community. And I want you to walk away with the self-awareness to honestly assess whether you have been living it.
First question that I have is, what are your thoughts on the state of Black love in America today? And we will start with the lovely Miracle.
Okay, when you say state, like what you referring to?
How basically just the overall general perception of what you see with Black love.
I feel like love doesn't have a race, because me, I'm a Black woman, but I love white men.
If a Black woman keep holding Black men to a standard they never apply to anyone else, the only people losing are Black women themselves. Before we talk about the double standard, we have to talk about where it comes from. Because this did not start on social media. It did not start with dating apps. It started in the home. I want to be transparent with you. I am a Black woman, obviously. I was raised in a home with a father I admired. And in my generation, the idea of running to a man of another race as an upgrade was not something most of us entertained. Not because we were told not to, but because we had seen Black men up close, loving their families, leading their homes, providing and protecting. We had a reference point. We knew what a good Black man looked like because we had one in the house. But something shifted. And when you look at the modern generation of Black women, many of them do not have that reference point. They did not grow up with a father in the home. They did not have a Black man they loved and admired and looked up to. And when you grow up without that, you do not develop a natural appreciation for Black men.
Black women love to approach other ethnic non-Black men. Like, they go up to them, shoot they shot. Like,
that's our confidence.
It's just Black men, they don't feel like we worthy enough for them to shoot they shot. There's a meme, right? And it's a group of Black women on top and a group of Black women on the bottom. And the meme says, when Black women see Black men and all of them is frowning and they have that quote unquote resting bitch face. And then the top says, when they see white men and they all smiling and looking friendly and approachable. I think that's how, I'm not saying we're all Black women, but I think that's how some Black men even view Black women men, they feel like they come off unapproachable. They just look like they don't want to be approached. But if it was a non-black person, now your vibe is a little bit different. Now you're much more friendlier.
I mean, it comes with trauma too. You so used to like messed up black people that when you see a white person, it's like, okay, well, I can vibe with you.
Me personally, like if I'm in a room with, Caucasian men or whatever, I may not look so mean.
That's disappointing though, to hear like our woman feel more comfortable being around a different group of men rather than a black man.
You develop a void, and that void gets filled by culture, by media, by programming, and that programming tells her one thing: black men are the bottom, white men are the top. They represent coming up. This is not an accident. It is the result of decades of conditioning. Black men have been portrayed as dangerous, irresponsible, absent, and inferior in almost every form of mainstream media. And when a young black girl grows up without a father to counter that narrative with his presence, his love, and his example, she believes it, not because it's true, but because nobody showed her otherwise. And this is where it gets personal, because even when you look at someone like Venus and Serena Williams.
Tennis legend Venus Williams is off the courts and on to a new chapter in life. She's married. But this isn't just any wedding. Venus and her husband, Italian actor Andrea Preti, celebrated their love twice. First in Italy, and then in a 6-day extravaganza in Palm Beach, Florida. Let's dive into how the 7-time Grand Slam champion celebrated the happiest week of her life. Venus and Andrea's romance began in 2024 at a Milan fashion show, a chance encounter neither had planned to attend. Venus was on a sister's trip to Lake Como when a last-minute invitation arrived. Andrea was tired, but destiny had other plans. From that meeting, a private and heartfelt relationship blossomed, leading to the big announcement in July 2025. Venus revealed she was engaged to Italian actor and former model Andrea Preti, giving fans their first glimpse into her personal life.
In her lavish, luxurious, multi-million-dollar wedding, Vogue magazine captured all of the pictures because no cameras were allowed in the venue, but it was absolutely beautiful. Serena looked absolutely beautiful. Her dress was gorgeous. It was a fancy strapless ball gown, and she had $3.5 million worth of jewelry on. Whew, I wish I was rich. And they both exchanged their vows under an extravagant floral arch. And Alexis said that he wants to spend the rest of his life taking care of Serena Williams. And he said that she's the greatest of all time, not just in sports. Ooh, he knows all the right things to say. Anyway, Serena looked beautiful and her wedding looked amazing. From the details, everything was so classy and luxurious.
Two women who had a father who was present, who pushed them, who built them into champions. Something still shifted. We do not know everything that happened inside their home, but we know that two Black women who were raised by a Black father who watched that man pour everything into them, still ended up choosing partners outside their own race. And that tells us that the father factor is powerful, but it is not the only factor, because the world also got to them. Decades of being ridiculed, mocked.
Serena hates to lose, and she got to learn that in this sport, you're going to lose sometime.
Just seeing what their dad did for them and seeing, it was for Venus. Venus was the one that they were pushing, to become this huge tennis star, and Serena was right there behind.
Serena and Venus were playing in, I think it was Indian Wells.
They get booed.
It's an amazing sound here. An American crowd booing an American family. And you have to say that it does smack of a little bit of racism.
and belittled for being naturally black and beautiful left a mark that even a good father could not fully erase. When a black woman does not see value in herself as a black woman, she will not see value in a black man either. The two are connected, and that is what we have to understand before we go any further. Now let's talk about the standard. Because once that programming is in place, once a black woman has been conditioned to see black men as inferior, the standard she sets for them stops being about genuine requirements and starts being about justification. The list for black men is long. He's got to have a job, a good paying job, a car, a new car, a house, ambition, spirituality, tall, good looks, no kids, good credit, emotionally available, not too clingy, and still somehow strong enough to feel safe. And there is nothing wrong with knowing what you want. But the problem is when a black man actually meets every single one of those requirements, it's still not enough. He's too soft, too focused, too available, too boring. There is always a reason. And one of the most common excuses you hear from successful black women is this: I cannot find a man who makes as much money as me. But then you look at someone like Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes in human history, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And she married a man who has money, not going to minimize that, but nowhere near her level. Ask yourself honestly, if her husband were a black man with that exact same income and that exact same net worth, would he have been good enough? You already know the answer. The money argument is not the real argument. It never was. Because here is what is really happening. When a black woman has been programmed to see black men as inferior, no amount of success, character, or consistency will override that programming. The bar is not high because she has standards. The bar is high because she does not want him to reach it. And if he somehow does, she will find another reason. We have seen women divorce good husbands, faithful men, providers, men who showed up every single day and struggle to give a reason that makes sense. Because the real reason is not something they are ready to say out loud. If the bar keeps moving every time a man gets close to it, that is not a standard. That is an exit strategy. It's a way to get out of connecting with your own. Now, here is where the double standard becomes impossible to ignore. Because that same bar that black men could never reach, it does not just move for other men, it disappears completely. There are black women in relationships right now with men of other races who do not have a job, do not have their own place, do not treat them with basic dignity. And they will defend those men with everything they have. A black man who asked her to cook dinner is oppressive, but a man of another race who contributes nothing financially, emotionally, or practically gets patience, grace, and loyalty she never extended to her own. Now, I'm not saying this is the case in all cases, but the majority of the cases, this is what we see. Tommy Sotomayor has covered this extensively.
If I'm walking down the street and I see a black man with a white woman, there's a weakness in him. Ooh, something in him is weak. I think when I see a black woman with a white man, I think, oh, she's tired. Like she must have got so fed up that she's getting to rest now.
They'll tell you as a black man, if you don't date black women, what will they say? You hate yourself and you hate your mama. Yeah. Okay, cool. Because they say, how can you not love that which had you? What do they say to a white man who say, I only date black women?
Polite savages.
So black women started to hate black men because black men reminded them of who they are. Look at it today. Mm-hmm. You've never seen a black woman complain about a black woman being with a white man.
Not a day in my
They said they're going to boycott this black woman for being with a white man. They never said that Serena Williams must hate her daddy. They never said Venus Williams hate her daddy.
Yeah.
Hate herself.
Yeah.
So she walk around in a blonde wig looking like the beast from Beauty and the Beast.
And one case that stands out involves a woman in the adult entertainment industry who openly stated she only dates white men, not just any white men, overweight white men who speak to her in degrading ways.
My ex, who I was with for a very long time, he was a white guy who grew up in a Haitian neighborhood, went to his Haitian best friend's house every day. He'd been around black people his whole life. He lived in yes, exactly. I fucked wiggers. And white girls probably wouldn't be interested in them. That's true.
Send me money. I put it up when they send me money. When they send me $5 or more, I put up the comment. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's true. I did. And I have, but I'm more comfortable being with someone like that. I mean, as long as they're providing and they're a good person, I'm more comfortable being someone like that than someone who sees me as a fetish, will never bring me home to their parents, has some deeper. And I've been with a guy who his family was deeply, deeply racist, and it also reflected in him, and the relationship did not last long.
Because he just wanted to see what it was like. I slept with a fat girl.
And I showed him attention because he had a good background and family and stuff, but he was just a bigger guy. And I think as women of color, we're more accepting to a bigger guy. The white people want everybody to be skinny, super skinny. Nobody's thick. So he never got a lot of attention he said the first time he got real attention from women is when he went to Magic City, Atlanta. And he's a white boy from an all-white neighborhood.
Like the brokest ass regular looking white guy. There's a white guy that came on my show and he said, I am a below average looking white dude. I get to as many black women as I want. He said, because they're attracted to the white skin.
It makes you different, right? And it kind of gives up power. And I know black women in this situation, they're breadwinners of their household. They make their partner big, doctors and stuff, and they date a white guy and he's really not doing anything. And I don't like that personally. I'm not into that.
It happens a lot. These celebrities who I've seen get the divorce, several of them. One of them that was on a talk show. One of them that created it was that's on the show that my daughter likes. Abbott Elementary. She just got divorced. Some white man took her money. Like, if she keep being with these, y'all will make a black dude like me have to go through hell, show your money up front to get something done. But this white boy be able to get put on credit. You'll f him and let him pay you next week. You take his word for it. You'll let him tell you, I got a camera, we can make some money. I set up this black girl now called the King of Queens, Queen of Kings. She with this big old white dude, and when she got mad at him, because she had lied and told everybody he moved her to Hawaii and that he bought her the Range Rover. Come to find out, when she got mad at him, she told the truth. That she said all that to big him up online because she didn't want people to know she was with a broke-ass white boy. You sit there and talk crap to black men. We got to work our ass off.
She made it her mission to make a man feel special, that women in his own race would not look at twice. Women of his own race had already passed on him, and she stepped in to pick up what they put down. She did not want a man her own people valued. She wanted the one the other people rejected. And if a black man with that same size, same income, same mouth approached her, I'm talking about that disrespectful mouth. She would not give him 1 second of time. Help me make that make sense. Because what we are really seeing here is not love. It is not even preference. It is self-rejection dressed up as a dating choice. When you specifically seek out a man that his own community does not want, that is not coming up. That is a reflection of how little you think of yourself. And then there is what these women call divesting. The idea that Black women leaving Black men behind and choosing men of other races is some kind of liberation or elevation. But here's what the divesting conversation leaves out. The majority of these men of another race are not marrying these Black women that are divesting. They are not building with them, not permanently. They are not choosing them as their first choice. And here is the biology that nobody wants to talk about. If a Black man has children with a white woman, the bloodline remains Black. If a Black woman has children with a white man, the bloodline remains Black too. White men who come from generational families with any kind of racial awareness know this. And that is why the commitment rarely comes. She thinks she is coming up, but in many of these cases, she is a detour, not a destination. Now let's talk about the part of this conversation that exposes the hypocrisy most clearly.
Do you think this question is judged on the same metric scale of being culturally acceptable? A Black woman with a white man versus a Black man with a white woman. Do you think those metrics are even?
Well, the only reason I say no is because I've never sat in a room with any of my Black brothers and they be like, yo, man, this girl I wanted to date, dating this white dude, man, and he this and this, she doing it. I've never in my life sat in a room. I've never even seen only time I've seen Black men speak on that with my own eyes, it's in defense to comments that have been made about Black men dating women outside of their race. I've never seen it. And so no, that would be my answer, because if we look at the facts, if we look at the conversations on the internet, I've never seen it, but maybe somebody else have seen it. I've never seen it. So I can't say the metrics are fair at all. I think that the metrics on the side of Black women not approving Black men dating outside their race are much higher.
Black men who date or marry women of other races are dragged publicly. They are called sellouts. They are told they hate Black women. That criticism is loud, consistent, and it never stops. But when Black women date or marry outside their race, the same energy is almost nowhere to be found. In fact, it is celebrated. And the women who push back the hardest on Black men dating out are often the very same women who are doing it themselves or planning to. You cannot demand a standard of decency from others that you refuse to give yourself. That is not a moral position. That is a convenience. And when Black women are directly asked about their choices, why they don't date Black men, why they left a good one, why the standard changed, the answer is almost never honest. It is always a deflection. Black men are not interested in me. Black men are not attracted to me. It always circles back to something the Black men did or did not do. But we are not talking about Black men right now. We are talking about you, ladies, your choices, your standards, your reasoning. Own it. Some black men will openly say they prefer women outside of their race. They get criticized for it, but at least they're honest. Black women who feel the same way will not say it because they want to hold on to a pro-black identity while quietly living a completely different reality. And ladies, that's not strength. That is avoidance. Let's stop deflecting and answer the questions about ourselves. I want to bring this home now because this is not just about dating preferences. This is about what happens to black families, black children, and the next generation when this pattern continues unchecked. There are black women who do not want their children to be dark-skinned, who do not want their children to have natural hair, who are choosing partners based upon what their children will look like. And when you go back to Venus and Serena, two women who were publicly mocked and belittled for being naturally black and beautiful for decades, you start to understand where that comes from. That pain is real. Being told your whole life your natural features are undesirable leaves damage. But choosing a partner to escape your own reflection is one of the most heartbreaking forms of self-rejection there is. And it passes that rejection on to the next generation. I grew up in a generation that was closer in proximity to what our ancestors endured. We understood viscerally, meaning in our bones, in our guts, in a place deeper than thought, why submitting yourself to the very people who had oppressed your people was not a come up. It was a step back. Not because white people are bad, but because we knew our own value. We did not need to be validated by proximity to whiteness. We had fathers who showed us that. The modern black woman who has been raised without that foundation, without that father, without that mirror of her own worth, she has been left vulnerable to a programming that tells her everything black is inferior and everything white is superior. And until we address that root, we will keep having this surface conversation about standards and double standards without ever getting to the real answer. Black women, you deserve better than what you've been programmed to believe about yourselves. And black men deserve better than being the only ones who have to prove their worth before they are even considered. When you see that, it stops being hard to understand. It becomes heartbreaking, and heartbreak requires healing and not more programming. Here is what I want to leave you with today. The double standard that black women apply to black men is not random. It has a root. It was planted by absent fathers, watered by media conditioning, and grown in the soil of self-rejection. And until black women are willing to look at that honestly, not at what the black man did or did not do, but at what was done to them and what they have accepted as truth, nothing changes. Good black men exist. They are everywhere. But if you have been programmed not to see them, you will look right past them every single time. And if you keep the bar impossible for the man who looks like you and invisible for everyone else, you will spend your life wondering why you cannot find what you are not actually looking for. This is a conversation our community needs to have. Not with anger, not with blame, but with honesty. And honesty starts with the look in the mirror. And before I close, I want to say this. I have no objection to interracial marriages. I don't care if a black woman chooses a white man. I don't care if a black man chooses a white woman. What I do care about is you making your choices based upon honesty and truth, not out of self-rejection, not because you have bought the lie that a black man is inferior. And I know that this doesn't apply to all women. So I want to make it clear. I made this video because this is a problem we skirt around. We talk about interracial dating. We talk about it, but we don't really get down to the nit and the grit. We skirt around certain parts of it. We only do what's comfortable. I want to get in there where it's uncomfortable. And I want to talk about it honestly and fairly. I have family members that have interracial relationships. And I have no hatred for anyone, white. I love God's people of every color. But I'm here to heal this black community of self-hatred. And the only way I know how to do it is to have honest conversations like this. And I want to say, if this video made you think, I need you to do 3 things. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this conversation, and leave a thoughtful comment below. I want to know what you think. Do you think my position was too strong against women? Do you think that I wasn't fair? Share that with me. In the description below, I have linked additional content related to this topic. I want to be transparent. The linked content contains language and material I would never publish on this channel. It is not my content, but I believe you are an adult who can make your own decisions. Watch it, assess it, and let it inform your own thinking. I'm Deborah, and this is Family Still Matters. Thank you so much for watching, and may God continue to richly bless you. I want to leave you with this scripture in Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That is Romans 12:2. God bless.